everyone can hear, there you go. To ensure that everyone can hear, we have muted the audio except for the presenters. If for some reason that's not working, if you would please go on mute, that would help us. Thank you. If you have a question, please enter it into the chat box at the bottom of your screen. We will be collecting those questions as we move along. And then Mandy Block, who is our Vice President of Communications, will be collating those questions so we can answer them later on at the end of our presentation. So with that, I will get started. I'm sure you've heard by now that Country Meadows has made the very difficult decision to sell the South Hills campus to Concordia Lutheran Ministries. Country Meadows has been in South Hills since 1987. So I know you understand that this was a very difficult decision. This was not easy for us, and nor was it lightly made. As you know, all of our other communities at Country Meadows are located in central and eastern Pennsylvania. So the South Hills campus is our only location in western Pennsylvania. Since COVID, we have struggled in the western PA market to recover our occupancy, and we have not been able to do so. We have an amazing group of coworkers and a wonderful group of residents at South Hills, and we wanted to find another provider who shares our commitment to quality care. We believe that Concordia shares that same commitment. And Brian Hortert, who is the Concordia Chief Operating Officer, is here tonight to talk to you and answer your questions. So once again, please enter your questions into the chat box at the bottom of the screen, and we will get to them at the end. Brian?
Thanks, Diana. You can hear me okay? Okay, excellent, thank you. Well, thank you all for taking some time. We had a lot of families yesterday. We've been meeting with the staff. My name's Brian Hortert. I've been with Concordia for 23 years. I'll be 23 years this May. We're excited. We're excited to be part of the Country Meadows community area there. We've had a facility in the South Hills for a number of years. I was actually the executive director there for about 7 years from the time we had purchased it. I think some things that just to get a few things out there for the families, a couple things that we will be doing. Number one, we are honoring all contracts, all current rates, all of those things. We are hoping that you don't have to sign a new contract. That's really going to be up to DHS, who oversees the personal care section. We've reached out to them to ask if we can just take a copy of your current contract and have you sign an addendum that yes, this is the contract moving forward. If they refuse to allow us to do that, then we will just have you sign a new contract that mirrors what you have now. We're not going to be coming in raising rates, doing any of those things. We're going to be holding rates at least through January, which is I think the standard that you're used to. I think any rate increases have been in January. We'd like to hold them longer, but we know for sure through January we're not going to be making any changes. If we do make changes to rates, sometimes when we come in, we will make changes for new residents, but for legacy residents, all those terms are always completely honored. The staff that are taking care of your loved one today, we expect to be taking care of your loved one around May 1st. At least that's what we're targeting. Again, most of this will depend on DHS licensure, those type of things, but we do expect to retain the staff. We expect that we will be honoring all of their seniority, their PTO, those type of things. We want to make this as seamless as possible. At the end of the day, it is the staff that take care of the residents that really drive the boat. It's not managers, it's not anybody else. It's who's taking care of your loved one today. So it's really important for us to try to maintain all of the staff. I will tell you that this is about the 20th or 22nd time I've done this, and there will be some staff that will leave, and most of the time what happens in those cases is it's staff that we're thinking about leaving, and this just happens to be the impetus that helps them do that. But our desire is that the caregivers today are the caregivers tomorrow. Trying to think if there's anything else. Again, we're a strong company. We are primarily Western Pennsylvania based. We have about 12 personal care homes in the area, along with 6 skilled nursing facilities and 5 retirement communities. We have a lot of resources for the staff down there to be able to draw on. Some more colleagues that are within 10-15 minutes away, so we think those are positive things. We do have a good relationship with St. Clair Hospital. They're actually one of our partners in our home care. Dr. Fatigatti and his group, we know them very well. We would expect that they will be staying on. That's probably I think the most important parts. What I'd really like to know is what's on your mind. What are some concerns that you have? We do believe, given the presence that we have with our home care, our hospice, our short-term rehab, in relationships with both St. Clair Hospital and Washington Hospital, that we will be able to fill 30 or 40 personal care beds in a relatively short time. Personal care takes a little longer to fill generally. But when you can fill those 40 beds, all the financial problems pretty much go away. It makes it much easier to run. It also makes it easier on the staff when you get to that steady state of, here's the census that we're going to typically run at. So we believe with our admissions folks and the folks that Diana and her team have put into place, that we're going to be able to pull that off very quickly. I think the other thing that's important for families is that once someone becomes part of the Concordia family, if they utilize their funds in our facilities, they stay in our facilities. We subsidize hundreds of folks every day that have outlived their resources. We ask that, obviously we do financial disclosures. If someone literally gives away the farm, and I actually had that last week, that somebody gave away all their money and said we wanted subsidy. Unfortunately, I can't do that. But if somebody is legitimately use their resources with Concordia, we keep them. We take care of them. We ask if the families can support us in any way, whether that be through small monetary donations monthly or assisting us in activities programs, those type of things, to try to offset some of that cost. But regardless of income, those type of things, we take care of people once they run out of money. I think that's the main things. I don't know if we have any questions that have popped up yet.
We do, Brian. We actually have, on that note about the benevolent care, someone had asked if there will be any changes to the benevolent care, and it sounds like what you had just answered. How you all address it is that you do offer that program.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
And if there's somebody on benevolent care now, they stay on benevolent care. We would, so that's really important to us, just as it is to you at Country Meadows. So
thank you. It is. Thank you. You were speaking about the medical provider. There was a question if Dr. McMichaels and Katie will stay on, if they will remain consistent.
We would expect that. Yes.
Great. This may be tied to the benevolent fund, but the question was, who qualifies as a legacy resident?
Anyone who is there prior to our ownership.
Oh, referring to that. Got it. For
yes.
a resident remaining on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. there are some questions regarding staffing where you were talking about filling beds. Once you do increase occupancy, do you plan to increase staffing?
Absolutely. We look at, we really look at acuity and building layout, those type of things. And we work with the managers. Every one of our buildings is laid out slightly different. We have a couple buildings that are all on one floor. That quite honestly is easier to staff than a building on 3 floors. So we really try to work with the staff and the managers to come up with how do we best staff this particular unit? How do we best staff this particular building? Again, at the end of the day, it's the caregivers that we really take our direction from. You know, we try to provide a framework, but we are not a company that that really dictates exactly where you need to be. We've never believed that that's the best way to operate. So,
Well, that answered a question someone had asked, how many more staff you will add. And to your point, it sounds like it's relative. You want to assess it as needed.
quite honestly, I hope it's a lot because I hope we fill 40 beds really fast. But yes, it's we will work with we certainly work with the staff to do that.
Thank you. There's a question regarding if someone needs to transition in between buildings because of increased care, will that be delayed until new ownership begins?
That's probably a Diana question, but
Yeah.
I would probably say
Yes, it is. Yes. No, it will not be delayed. We are going to continue to operate as normal until the closing takes place.
Thank you. Part of the question, Brian, regarding staff, there was one specifically to, will you continue to have in-house therapies, assistants such as PT, OT, and ST?
yes. Here's what we do at Concordia. We try to do as much of that through home care. And the reason we try to do as much of that through home care is it does not cost the resident anything. Medicare Part A covers all those therapies in full with no copay. So our model is always to start with home care. Again, it doesn't cost anything. And then if we need to transition into an outpatient therapy, we will do that. But obviously there's a cost. There's a cost to that when it comes to Part B therapy. And depending on which Medicare Advantage plan you have will determine what the copay is. So we recognize that we have to try to balance for residents and for families how to get them as much as they can through the card that's in their wallet, quite frankly. We just think that's the best way to do it.
That makes sense. We do have some particular questions which may not be easy to answer, but regarding staffing ratio. One in particular was how many staff to basically, what is the staff to resident ratio that you all aim for?
Well, it really varies. You know, typically in personal care, the Department of Human Services requires what they would call 1 hour per patient per day. That's what they have for the PPD. We think that's a crazy low number. That number doesn't even make sense, but it doesn't make it in skill either. So we typically run somewhere closer to 2 in our personal care homes, and probably closer to 2.5 or more in our memory support units. So typically we try to get we're always much higher. We're always much higher. But again, it's a really difficult question because you can have units where the vast majority of the residents are lower level, do not need nearly as much assistance, and then you have other units where they need more assistance. So we don't like to again, we don't like to pigeonhole the leadership of a building into here's your PPD, here are the numbers that you have to hit. We go with parameters and say, look, you decide based on this, if this unit doesn't need as much care, because again, these folks don't need as much, and this one needs more, then we move, we give them the freedom to do that. We just think that's the best model for patient care. Put the staff where the most need is, and that generally works the best.
Makes sense. We have a question regarding transportation. Will you still provide rides to medical appointments and reevaluate the rates and mileage?
We will continue to provide transportation. I don't understand all the rates and the mileage, so we always look at those things. The challenge obviously is buses are not free, drivers are not free, so that always makes it a bit of a challenge. We do like, obviously there are specialists that you have to go out for, but we really try, as Country Meadows has, to bring as many services into the building as possible. Maybe it's nice on a June morning when it's 60 degrees to get into a van and go for a ride. I don't think anybody likes to do it in February. So we try to bring in as many, whether it's podiatrist or audiologist or, those type of things, as many into the buildings as possible. So the residents don't have to go out. But again, there are specialists, and we do. And again, this is purely family and resident choice. We do push them hard for video visits. I will be brutally honest. The last time I went to the doctor, I don't think he touched me. I'm not so sure that we could not have done that through a video. And again, those things end up just being better for the patient. But we will have the transportation program. We will be doing outings. We'll be doing shopping outings for our independent folks. We'll be taking folks to medical appointments. Absolutely. We do that in all of our communities.
Thank you. I feel like you may have already touched upon this, but a question had come up: if somebody does need outpatient therapy, PT or OT, will they need to leave the building, or currently would they be able to stay like with the in-house therapy?
Yeah, what we're hoping, to be honest, what we're hoping is probably to bring our in-house therapy in. But I also know that's a change. And as I had mentioned yesterday, there are a lot of folks that have developed a very close relationship with their therapists. So we need to be cognizant of that and figure out how do we do that in the best way that meets the patient's not only physical needs, but social needs, social and emotional needs. But our preference, the likelihood is that we would probably do the outpatient through Concordia outpatient and work through that.
Thank you. Do you anticipate having to close units or changing units for different levels of care? In other words, this person is asking, is there a chance that residents might need to be moved?
I don't think so, and the reason I will say I don't think so, depending on how quickly you fill up, and I'll be honest, I do not know exactly where all the open rooms are right now. Sometimes it does make sense to put residents a little closer together, but we also recognize that their personal care room is their home. So, and they have it decorated the way they want it. They have it set up the way they wanted. So our preference is to not do that. But if anybody says they would never look to do that, then I wouldn't necessarily believe them. But our preference is to not do that. Our preference is to fill up the building and to be able to operate and everyone stay where they are. And it's our very, very, very strong preference to allow every person, whether they are currently an independent or whether they are currently in personal care, to pass away in that room. I've asked this since 1986, and I'd never had anybody raise their hand when they said they wanted to get old enough to be in a nursing home. We do great in our nursing homes, but it's not home. So our preference is to keep folks where they are, and bring services in. If acuity goes up, we figure out a way with families. Sometimes it's just impractical. I mean, sometimes you just have to move to a skilled facility, or sometimes if you're an independent, it just doesn't work anymore, and you do have to move to personal care. But our strong preference is that everyone age in place, because we think not only is it better for the patient, quite honestly, it's financially better for the family.
Is Concordia on Bower Hill Road closing?
No.
And the second part of that question is skilled nursing care going to be available because of that facility?
Yes, we will. We will have short-term rehab there. And the challenge that we have at the South Hills facility is it is only 46-bed skilled facility that is full quite often. However, in skilled nursing today, average length of stay, even though way back in the 60s when Medicare came about, you had 100 days of skilled nursing. Well, today, most insurers will expect folks to be out in 14 days, and they are trying to drive that down to 10 days. So the reason I say that is even if we're full in a building like the South Hills today, there's a good chance somebody's being discharged back home tomorrow. So that would be our preference. Obviously, there is a skilled facility right above us, but we would prefer, because we're completely integrated with our skilled facilities with our electronic medical record, that it's just better for quality of information if they go to a Concordia facility. And if there's a family that lives to the west at all, we have the Villa in Baden, which is a beautiful skilled nursing facility. So we have a couple very close options. And again, we would want to match location for families for ease of visitation.
That makes sense. You had talked about bringing in the therapy care. We have a question. Are you going to continue to bring foot, eye, and dental care on site?
That would be yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Is medical assistance available through Medicaid?
In personal care, there is no Medicaid in personal care in Pennsylvania. I will tell you that there are a couple insurers, and I actually have a meeting. I can't remember if it's tomorrow, Friday, or Monday. There are a couple of the HMOs that are starting to talk about paying at least partially for personal care because it is less expensive. I think it's a pilot program. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but currently the state of Pennsylvania does not provide medical assistance coverage in personal care homes.
When you were talking about benevolent care fund, this question had come up about when all funds are depleted, does that include my home? Meaning, do I have to sell my house where my spouse lives?
Not if the spouse is living there. We don't. Yeah, we're not going to make somebody homeless. So we would never do that.
Do you all plan to change the dining program? Well, particularly either the source or the offerings. There's a question about will the quality remain the same?
Well, I will tell you, it will depend on the question, because I can tell you yesterday I had 4 different comments, 2 of which were it's the best food in the world, and 2 of which was please change the food. The challenge with food services is that is the one activity every single resident participates in every single day. We believe our quality is very, very good. I would suspect from a food vendor perspective, we will more than likely change from Cisco to Gordon Foods. Gordon Foods does all of our communities from a procurement perspective. So I would assume that. But Scott and Jeremy, who are two dietary managers corporately, are actually going to be on site tomorrow talking with Chris and the dietary group, and trying to come up with what's good, what needs changed, what can we do. So the challenge we have is, again, when you have 100 and some people, taste is gonna vary, but we need to have great quality. Hot food needs to be hot, cold food needs to be cold. You have to have a great dining experience. The challenge with dining in a whether it be in a personal care home or a independent building like this, nobody eats in the same restaurant every night of the week except in these facilities, and it's really, really hard. It is really hard to really make it an experience every night, but we try our best.
Somebody had asked that you were referencing personal care a lot, and do you intend to include independent living? And you would just reference that you will continue with independent living. Thank you.
Yes.
You mentioned affiliates within the area and within 10 to 15 minutes away. Can you be more specific?
Well, obviously the South Hills is 15 minutes away. Franklin Park is probably about 20. Our Franklin Park facility, Cranberry's about 30. We have a couple other things, a couple other things in the works that might put some things closer. But South Hills obviously is the closest, which I think is 5.8 miles away. Something like that. I just know that from the transportation question from a few weeks ago, approximately how far that is. But the other thing is we do have a number of quote, I hate the term, but it is what it is. We have a number of corporate type folks that are able to come in. We had a chef unexpectedly be off at one of our facilities, and is going to be off for an extended period. Jeremy, who is a phenomenal chef, is able to go there, and he's able to fill in that need, which makes it much easier on folks. The challenges, as Diana had said, when you're a single site in today's labor market, in today's with DHS and regulatory market, it is really, really hard. I can tell you that we have been notified. At one time, I had 17 non-disclosure statements on my desk of organizations, almost all single site providers, that just wanted to get out of the business. It's really a strength in numbers thing. And again, that's, as Diana had said, they're really, really strong in the central part of the state. It is just hard when you get that far away.
This might be related, but what's the rationale in including Concordia Bridgeville with Concordia Monroeville?
It's really typically when you look at the ancillary services, conventional wisdom would say, why in the world are you not putting it in the South Hills? That doesn't make any sense. Well, part of the reason is with billing, with payroll, with a number of those ancillary services, South Hills is pretty much maxed out because of the 4 personal care homes, the villa, those type of things. Because we can do some back office stuff and we have the capacity in Monroeville, it made more sense to put it into the Monroeville Corporation.
Kind of keep
we all
it
act
in
like family. We all act like family, though. So it's it's corporate, but it's
Well, that's definitely related to this question, which is Concordia South Hills is closer for my family. Will it be possible to transfer?
Yes.
Thank you. Is personal care similar to assisted living?
It is. There are, in my view, there are like 4 or 5 things different between personal care and assisted living, none of which are really substantive. If for those of us who've been around for a while, this was an initiative by Governor Rendell. He wanted assisted living in Pennsylvania, and the impetus was, we're going to create assisted living in Pennsylvania, and we're going to pay for it. We're going to have Medicaid, and Medicaid is going to pay for assisted living. And I went to Harrisburg, went to a lot of meetings, and I said, "You realize that's not going to happen?" And everybody said, "Yes, it is." I said, "No, it's not." I said, "Unfortunately, there is one bucket of money in Pennsylvania, and if you put it in assisted living, you're going to take it from skilled nursing. That's the way the math works." We have looked at assisted living, and now this is a possibility. Again, you really won't see any changes, but if the Medicare Advantage plans and the state get together and say, we're going to start paying for assisted living, then quite honestly, we would change our license, and we would move to assisted living. But generally speaking, I'm old. I started way back when the regulations in personal care were this little green book that was 12 pages long, back in the 80s, and there's not much difference. There's just not much difference. So I use them interchangeably. I get complaints, especially if I'm in Ohio, because Ohio doesn't have personal care; they only have assisted living. So, but that was a very long-winded answer, Mandy. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. I appreciate that. The question has come up: are you going to eliminate memory care on this campus?
No.
Thank you. Someone was a little confused about the mention of Monroeville and had asked for you just to explain the relationship just a little bit further.
As again, Monroeville is one of our corporations.
Okay.
That is part of the Concordia family, and again, we're able to put it.
You can get my computer.
I think Laura is not muted.
I can start.
If you could please mute, Laura, your phone, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you.
So again, I'm not exactly sure the question, other than again, we're able to, because of the back office type things, medical records, all of those things. It just makes sense because there's more capacity in the Monroeville Corporation than there is in the South Hills Corporation at this point.
There was a clarification about the elimination of memory care. Will that be happening at the Bower Hill facility?
I'm not anticipating that. It's a different model. It's a very small. I want to say it is a 12-bed unit. So is that a possibility? It is, but we've not really contemplated eliminating that at this point.
Thank you. Is podiatry care covered, or is that out of pocket?
Generally, podiatry care is covered with, I believe, under Medicare. There may be a copay. But whatever it is now, we would suspect that the current podiatrist will be the podiatrist moving forward. So I can't exactly answer that. I know podiatry services are covered for folks. Basically, every 9 weeks you can go to podiatrist. That's the Medicare. That's the Medicare role for the amount of time. Now, if you're a diabetic, that changes a little bit. There's other things that a podiatrist can do, but I suspect, just because most outpatient things have some type of a copay, I would assume there's some type of a copay for podiatry, but I do not know that for sure.
Thank you. That is those are all the questions that are in the chat. Please let us know if you have any further ones by putting them into the chat. Brian, you've been great about answering. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And as folks are maybe gathering their thoughts and maybe putting some more into the chat. We're going to spend, the next 5 or 6 weeks really getting to know everyone, getting to know the staff even better, getting to know as many residents. I feel bad. When I started at Concordia 23 years ago, I knew every resident, I knew every staff member, and unfortunately, those days are probably, my memory's not that good anymore. But we will make you very pleased that your loved one is at the Country Meadows facility, which will obviously be changing to Concordia Bridgeville. I will also tell you this, full disclosure. We hire human beings to take care of human beings, and people will make mistakes, and people will do things that I'm going to scratch my head and say, what in the world were you thinking about? And we will address it. I like and really covet open communications with families. If there's a problem, quite honestly, we know Chris, our dietary manager, Scott, and Chris worked together years ago. Chris is a really good guy. We know he's going to answer the questions. But if I am always happy to talk to families. And again, I'm going to tell you the truth. Doesn't matter. I think most people will respect that. If it's something we can do, here's why we can do it. If it's something we can't do that, and here's why. Everybody won't always like the answer, but I think when you're honest and just say, here's what we can do and why, I think we can at least, I think we can all respect that. Doesn't mean we won't like it. It's just, but that's so.
Thank you. Well, more questions have come in,
Wonderful.
and it sounds like folks are enjoying being connected with you because they'd like to know what the contact information is, if they can get an org chart, if that'd be something that you all will be sharing, and how do you manage communications with family? Meaning, will there be contact information that you will provide per role? That's a loaded question. Sorry.
It is. Yeah, I think it's a great thing to have an org chart out for folks, and I will put that on my list.
Thank you.
We do. We will have numbers, and obviously we have numbers all over our website. And if you haven't been on the Concordia website, I do invite you to join the Concordia website. The Cabot location, that phone number will get you to me. And I tend to answer pretty quickly. But with the org chart, but again, for Concordia, we really do our absolute best to allow the managers in the building to solve the problems and to get to the answers for the families. We always believe, just like government, the lower level you can get to, the township level is better than the state level, is better than the federal level. We kind of do the same thing. The folks with boots on the ground who really know the residents, who really know the staff, who really know the layout of the building best, is really where we try to get the answers and get things fixed. But I'm always available. I go to every building frequently. So.
Well, that was the question as to who you are. If you wouldn't, someone missed the introduction, if you could share that again.
Yes. Brian Porter. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Concordia. I've been with Concordia 23 years, actually 23 years in May. I am just about half the amount of time as my boss, who will be at Concordia 42 years in May. We've been around since the 1800s. We'll be 143 years old in July. Started as an orphanage. We started with a land grant from a childless couple who wanted to make sure that the orphans were taken care of. Back in the 1800s, there were many folks dying in the mines in Western Pennsylvania. There were a ton of orphans. So we started the orphanage, and we switched into full all senior care in the 50s. We still, in addition to taking care of folks within the Concordia family, we fund foreign and local missions. We started our pharmacy, which we expect, Providence Pharmacy is our in-house pharmacy. We'll be utilizing Providence. We started that in 2004 as another funding stream for missions. It's our only for-profit company. Every nickel that we make in Providence goes to our missions committee. None of that passes through the Concordia organization other than through the missions committee, so that we can fund both local and foreign missions. We Habitat for Humanity, soup kitchens, a number of food banks. All of our board members every year get to elect a different charity, and we take that money and in their name we donate money. We do ask for our buildings to all get involved in some type of a mission project. Our villa community last year, they worked with an organization called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. There are many children in the Beaver County area that do not have beds, sleeping on the floor. So the staff got together and built beds. Tammy Young, our CFO for home care, she spearheads every spring. We build several houses in the parking lot of St. Luke's Church, and we send them down for Habitat for Humanity. So we ask every building to just give back a little bit. Again, we don't want to make it a burden. On the other hand, we believe that we have been blessed richly, and we try to give back, and we try to get our staff involved in those things.
That's got to make you feel good. We'll wrap up the next 15 minutes with a few more questions. They're kind of grouped into staffing questions, visitation, as well as billing. So I'll start with the staffing. Do you have a small group of caregivers dealing with residents, or will they encounter multiple staff people rotating three? I think the essence of the question is really making sure that the caregivers get to know the residents.
Our strong preference is always to have people assigned to specific units so they really know the person inside and out. Obviously, you have to have some floats. That's unfortunately the nature of the building. But we like, your mom's aide, Monday through Friday or Tuesday through Saturday or whatever, it should be the same. Rotating, we do not like rotating at all.
Thank you. I know you touched upon this early on. Some folks may have missed it, but is it anticipated that the supervisory staff currently will remain in place? For example, the director of nursing.
Yeah, we need to evaluate all those things, but again, we expect 95% of the people that are there today are going to be there tomorrow. So again, we haven't been in the building enough to understand all those things, but that's our expectation is that, again, the vast majority of all those folks are going to be here.
Thank you. And Diana, we have a question as far as who are the current managers. So as far as the campus ED and the associate ED and the director of nursing.
Who they are currently?
Please.
As Chris James is our campus executive director. Christy Byers is the director of nursing. And Angie Carter is our associate executive director.
Thank you. This question came up. Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry, Mandy. I think there was a 3-part question on the staffing, and I may have missed, or maybe not. So
that was the third part. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay.
Yep. Thank you. Good. You're good at keeping up.
Yeah.
There was Question regarding visitation, and this is because of an experience at the Concordia of the South Hills.
Mhm.
What are the policies? Will there be restrictions related to time or number of visitors? And are they free to come and go, or will they need to be escorted?
No restrictions. Don't need to be escorted. If you bring 50 in for a party, I better be invited.
I think that's
Yeah,
fair. That is the
one
party.
one of the challenges, and if I can, we don't have the same, we do not have the same challenges at the Country Meadows facility that we have at the South Hills. And the problem is with the South Hills being skilled nursing all under one roof. Pennsylvania Department of Health is challenging at best, because is probably as good as I can say. So it is, we're not going to have that problem at Country Med. We have open communication or open visitation. We want families to visit. And as I told the group yesterday, I don't care what the government says, we are not closing the visitation again. That was the absolute disaster for residents and families. I know what the government was trying to do, but I'm telling you, people died of loneliness, and we just, I will not put families or residents through that. I just won't.
Thank you. The last set of questions are related to billing and rates.
Mhm.
Concordia South Hills has a strong reputation, but is also known for having very high costs. Do you foresee a jump in the Concordia Country Metals facility next January?
I do not see a jump. I think, again, cost structure, those type of things. If you go on the website, you're going to see you're going to see a real hodgepodge of rates across our company. Our Wexford facility or Cranberry or Franklin Park. It's really, we don't base it on, everybody in every one of our personal cares pays this, whether they're in a private or semi-private. We really look at what does it cost to run the building, and how can we make it absolutely as affordable for families as possible. And let's face it, it's not cheap. It's anytime anytime you have 24/7 staffing, it costs a lot. I can tell you in most facilities, in personal care, it costs, without any of the depreciation and those type of things, which you really need to fund, you're pushing $150 to $170 a day just in cost. When you start adding depreciation and you start adding interest, those type of things, those numbers jump. So again, if we have a building that costs more to run, it's going to cost a little more for residents. And South Hills is probably one of our more expensive. And again, part of that is because of the skilled nursing and because of the requirements from the Department of Health to have certain types of staffing, certain levels of folks that cost more. So the cost structure at the South Hills is really different than what it would be at the Country Meadows facility.
Thank you. I know that you are meeting with each of the families to talk about their care. This one question came up: if my mother gets long-term disability insurance payments, can you provide contact information for who to send the paperwork so she can change it over? I'm assuming that may be part of the conversations. You can provide that when you're meeting with that family.
Yes, yeah, and we help all families with the long-term care insurance. Those are
Thank
great
you.
things. And they paid a lot for it, and we will help them continue to utilize that. Absolutely.
Thank you. Do you all offer online billing?
Good question. See, you stumped me.
Oh,
I'm gonna say probably yes, but I'm going to write that one down.
we appreciate that.
As you know, they don't allow me in the accounting office side at all.
You're not the CFO, just the COO.
Exactly. Yeah, you haven't met Michael yet. So, yeah.
Well, last two questions, and then we do need to wrap this up. Will you be changing independent living costs to have the large buy-in?
We do not anticipate that. Again, it's a completely different model than the South Hills, and we really think it's a nice difference because it does kind of stretch the market. There are folks that want those type of apartments that we have in the South Hills. There are folks that like the quasi rental model that we have at Country Meadows. So I do not foresee that happening.
We have a resident who currently is in a single room in memory care. Their question is, will they be able to stay in private single room?
I would not see why not. So.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And we'll
memory care. We do have, and I apologize. In memory care we do have, our Fox Chapel facility is full memory care. We do have some semi-privates in there. It's tricky. It's tricky to go semi-private in memory care. So our strong preference is always to try to remain as private. Doesn't always happen that way, but I would not see why we would be changing anything at this point.
And the very last question, because we're going to end it on, everyone loves pets. The question is, will pets be welcome to visit?
Absolutely. Love pets.
Good answer.
We're pet friendly, and we love having pets. And some residents will like it, some won't. But yeah, we think again, our pets become part of the family, and that's really, really important.
Thank you. There were questions if the since this is being recorded, if there will be access to this recording. And yes, we had asked folks to register on the same website that you had received this Zoom meeting. However, that was only 39 folks, and I see we have 75. So please go to countrymeadows.com/transition, and you'll see the form. Please complete that, and that'll give us your email address to know who attended this meeting. And then come Friday, everybody who is registered, we will go ahead and send out a recording to this meeting. We just want to be sure that we have all the emails of the folks who took the time to participate. So thank you. So Brian and Diana, I don't have anything else to share other than if you want to close it.
I would just say thank you. I appreciate families taking the time. I hope to meet a lot of you over the next several months. If you see me walking down the hallway, please grab me, stop me. Happy to talk to anybody. We're excited. I know the families, I know the residents, I know the staff are nervous. All I can say is we're going to do our best to try to reassure everybody. But as I told the group yesterday, you are all from Missouri, and you're all just saying, "Show me," and that's it. It's our job. It's our job to prove to you that we're going to deliver on what we say.
And I would just say thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate everyone taking the time to join this call to learn about the transition and what's coming. Our team at Country Meadows is available. There is an 800 number that was in the letter that you received, and it is available to you on the website. If you have any questions, please feel free to call that message line, and we will make sure to get you to the right person to give you the answer to your question, whether that is somebody at Country Meadows or somebody at Concordia. And I know the Concordia team is always available as well to answer questions. So thank you so much. There's a lot to be done between now and May 1st, give or take. And we will be working diligently with all of the details to make the transition as smooth as possible.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yo, have a great night.